3 years ago at the Post nightclub, what began as a night of drinking, dancing, police say they are just enforcing the law in a crime-infested black neighborhood. Arrests have gone up. Many have expressed anxiety about the recent mass shootings that have occurred throughout the nation. Good afternoon, I'm Paul Cannon. A 31-year-old man was taken into custody.
Tell us more about this story.
We have an update on the fatal stabbing involving two friends in a North Side neighborhood. Police found the dead body of 21-year-old Matthew Robinall last night near the Indian River Lagoon. A husband accidentally runs over his wife and kills her at a car wash. Family members say the hurricane season won't end for another 3 months. But have you and your family prepared for a possible evacuation? Today, earlier on the campus of Kaiser University, 2 men fought. 1 man died. Detectives say that a white male walked into this post office and walked out shortly after. But when he returned with a 12-gauge shotgun. 5 men were arrested for burglarizing Palm Bay Magnet High School in Melbourne, Florida. Today, a memorial honors those killed and wounded, but there have been mixed reactions about plans to build a museum. Witnesses still cannot believe that a pedestrian survived a near-fatal accident while walking across the street. The pedestrian was assisted by Good Samaritans near the scene of the accident.
It was a shock to me, man. That night I could not sleep that night.
Mohammed Moose is no stranger to the city where he is employed as a hired driver. Yet he was completely taken back by what he saw on Friday night.
I was up by the Greyhound with a customer, and I seen a man get hit real bad. He went way up in the air.
After watching the man land and hit his head on the ground, Moose used his quick instincts to help save the pedestrian's life.
And there was nobody there but me, you know, so I went in my trunk, I got my first aid kit, and I rushed to him.
Moose risked injury to himself as he dodged vehicles while making his way to the injured pedestrian.
So I actually wasn't worried about the car, I was worried about the man's life, you know, so I was trying to make sure he's alive, you know, and well.
Moose seemed cool, calm, and collected as he recalled his heroic feats.
So I put the first aid kit on his head. I stopped him from bleeding. You know, I called the police right away.
Moose stayed with the victim until the ambulance arrived. The pedestrian was then transported to the hospital.
Anybody else would have done the same thing. You know what I'm saying? If you have a good heart, you know, you have a good heart. You know what I'm saying? You care about human life. You know, you would do the same thing for anybody. You know. You don't.
Although intoxicated and guilty of jaywalking, the pedestrian's survival was due in large part to the quick reactions of a few good citizens. The pedestrian became a victim by just walking across the street, and the driver drove with a revoked driver's license. A near-death experience occurred, but thankfully there are no fatalities. The driver now sits in jail wondering whether it was worth the risk at all. Back to you. A highway worker is thanking his lucky stars for being alive after his truck was sideswiped by a tractor-trailer semi. The crushed work truck of Kevin Battle speaks volumes about what happened during the early hours of this morning. The father of 4 was on call for a roadside emergency on the interstate and walked away without a single injury. A local man is in disbelief that he's alive to tell his story.
He thought he had actually killed me, you know, because he did hit me very hard.
Kevin Battle's response to a service call led to an emergency call for his life.
Well, I just used went back to the truck and found my cell phone on the floor, and I started calling 911.
Narrowly escaping death, Kevin Battle was left nearly speechless, but he expressed gratitude for still being alive.
Well, I was just glad to be alive. It was very just, it's kind of scary.
Battle sensed that his vehicle and life were both slipping away.
The truck went down the embankment, and then I was just lucky not to go down in the embankment.
Kevin Battle and his family are extremely grateful that despite the vehicle being totaled, things did not turn out worse. Back to you.
He joins us here in the studio. Tell us more about this story.
We have an update on the fatal stabbing involving 2 friends in a North Side neighborhood. Eric D. Lawler, a convicted felon, has been arrested. His friend Demetrius Hillman was pronounced dead at the hospital. A fight between the 2 friends occurred on Combs Drive and Combs Terrace approximately at 5:15 p.m. Witnesses say Hillman approached Lawler's vehicle, words were exchanged, tempers flared. Hillman busted Lawler's windshield using a brick. Lawler retaliated by using a knife. Hillman suffered several cuts to the neck and chest. Lawler then fled the scene.
About maybe an hour later, I heard two of the girls that live in the house start screaming, crying. One of them said, he's gone, he's dead. And I still didn't know pretty much what happened. I'm just out here looking, trying to see what's going on, because normally this is a pretty quiet street.
Lawler is currently being detained in jail after being arraigned in Metro Night Court. Back to you.
Thank you for that report. In other news tonight, one man